vibe.
One of the memorable moments from a huge season in 2025 from Ben Donaldson. 83rd minute that he scored the try. Just absolutely cut Moana to pieces over there in Perth in round one. And geez, wouldn't the Force love for him to do it again, but this time on the road against Moana in Pukekohe on Friday on Stan Sport. They're already 0-2, Shep. Your old mob, the Western Force. I'm going to start with you and put you under the blowtorch here. And now they're at the beginning of a 3-game trip along New Zealand. They could genuinely be 0-5 after this trip is concluded. They could. And I think there's going to be some nervous people within that Western Force squad. You talk about the Chiefs, no DMAC, no Cortez Ratama. Winning's infectious for them. They can win. Unfortunately for the Force at the moment, losing has become a little bit of a habit for them. There were situations there against the Blues. They worked so hard to get themselves back in the game. That Ben Donaldson try, yes, maybe a little bit lucky, 50-50. He still scored it. They got 7 points. The very next kick-off, they don't claim it in the air, OK? It's a little bit windy. You still got to catch that. You've got to get on the attack. They had a chance to win the game. They're making mistakes in key areas of the game. They're not playing consistently for 80 minutes. We've heard all their players talk about it and their coaching staff. If they can't find a way to cut out those little errors in their game and improve their consistency over an 80 minutes, it's going to be a long season for them.
And that's the fatigue we talk about. The fatigue from other teams putting so much pressure on you, and then all of a sudden when you get the ball and you think, I've got to try something, and your head is going faster than what your body wants to do, and you make a mistake and you turn over, and then they can't actually score a try. So that first game against the Brumbies a couple of weeks ago now, they had so much possession, so much authority up the field, and they weren't able to capitalise on that. I remember Bernie Larkin was talking about it and he said, we just needed to hold on and we would make our plays. Charlie Carl scores left-hand side, and all of a sudden they go in at 14 all thereabouts. So it's the understanding of being able to do the work, but also capitalise on getting some points. Justin Harris and I were spoke about it during that game. Do you take your 3 points? Do you just kick some and get some momentum, like get that points on the board and get that scoreboard ticking over? Because if you go down there, it can be it's a long old trip, 3 weeks in New Zealand. And then if you don't get any points in games, it can be a tough game.
Playing at your own pace is exactly right. And I think that's what the Force have got to do. Try and get away from trying to compete with some of these big firepower teams and play their own brand. Ben Donaldson's a fantastic goal kicker. Take the 3 points. Keep ticking yourself over there. You know, one good news story for the Force this week is the return of Nick Dolly. Paenga Hermosa has been good, but I think Dolly coming back in just adds a little bit more consistency in that front row. It's probably a little bit tighter. He's going to be better against Moana because we know it's going to be a really physical wrestling match between the forward pack. So, if there is some good news for the Force this week, I think the return of Dolly is actually one of them.
You just need some help, don't you? You need some help because these guys are putting in a good shift, and it's like tag team, someone else comes in and finishes off the game. As you were talking about before about the influence of the bench these days is so important. They're not reserves anymore. They're the finishers, as you say. And if you can increase the quality of your squad for someone like a Nick Dolly to come in, and obviously he's been missing the first couple of weeks, it just ticks the box, doesn't it, for a coach, that's for sure.
What about Darby Lancaster, who's set to make his Force debut in this match? The beekeeper, absolute wheels on him. Get him the ball in space, and he's a hard man to stop, Shep.
Yeah, he's a fantastic finisher. I think he'll be excited to get a run. The David Palu experiment on the wing didn't work. He did a couple of good things, but not enough. I still think Bailey Kunzel will be interesting to see as well, now that they've got Lancaster back, when Dylan Peach returns, how that reshuffles the back line. I think you might see Kunzel come back into the midfield. And I don't know what that ends up doing with Bridge and Stewart. Bridge has been fantastic, so I doubt they're going to remove him. Maybe Hamish Stewart might get moved and modified, brought to the bench. The one thing we know, though, getting more talent back on the field is a big thing for the Force. They need it. So Lancaster returning is a good one.
Absolutely. Darby Lancaster, if he was to streak at a match, would never get caught by the security guards. But I don't know if you noticed this from the weekend. This was us doing the broadcast from this studio, and we had this camera feed behind us, which you couldn't see on TV if you're watching at home. Yeah. But Gorg, in the middle of Shep interviewing
it was
Stephen
a very
Perifetta,
long-winded question.
Interviewing Stephen Perifetta, has spotted that a pitch invader got tackled by about 4 security guards.
So that's the kind of person Justin Harrison was. He didn't concentrate on games all that much. Like he drifted. You know, we talk about fatigue. He drifted.
He was like a kid in a classroom here. He's like,
how excited he is.
He's like, oh, look. He was dead set raising his eyebrows to me. He's like, look behind you, Acco.
It's Streaker 2026, isn't it? Like they're fully clothed, right?
We'll streak, but we don't want to cause any inconvenience for the crowd.
Any memorable pitch invader moments spring to mind? I think there's a pretty notable one from a Bledisloe back in the early 2000s.
You know what? I cannot remember this one. Here he goes. There we go. See, he's nude, right? See, he's just done the full run.
That's proper streaking.
That's proper streaking.
Up through the quad as well. Up through the quad to the gymnasium.
And there's 2 on there. I can't remember this.
Double streak.
And they stood right in front of Mertz when he was taking having a shot? Andrew Mertens. Yeah.
Look at that.
Do you know what the funny thing was? Mertz had been out on the beers with them the night before, so we actually recognised them when they ran out there. Hey, Gary, Steve-O.
He's about to have a shot. That's great.
I know why you don't remember that streaking moment is because the only moment you remember from that game was kicking the winning penalty. The last time Australia won the penalty.
Surely. That's it. I still love those blokes $50 each, actually. That's okay.
Rugby Heaven and Stan Sport in general does not condone the act of streaking or pitch invading, so we hope there's none of that at Pukekohe. Tomorrow when the Force take on Moana. Moana, very disappointing, Berkey, in round 2. A big, heavy loss to the Hurricanes. But we saw in round 1 on the road in Fiji, and we've seen it throughout their existence in this competition, they can be so dangerous.
Well, they can play, and we know that they can play. And it's about that, again, it's about that cohesion that they have. You know, it's a newish franchise to Super Rugby Pacific. You know, they've been around for a long enough to be able to sort of create something these days. They're the masters of that unstructured play, as we know. But again, if you put pressure on them, they can falter. But at the same time, you're looking at this outfit going, this is going to be a tough couple of days, a tough couple of minutes for when you're playing Moana. So they'll get better. They'll learn from that.
It's certainly going to still be a very tough challenge for the Western Force over there in New Zealand. We just saw the Hurricanes in that footage taking on Moana in round 2. They're on the road this week.